Welcome to the very first episode of Becoming,
Rock solid.
and we're your hosts, Mindy.
And Sean Harley. And we're here to help you become rock solid in body and mind.
So, what can you expect on the Becoming Rock Solid podcast? Well, as Sean said, we're here to help you become rock solid in body and mind. So, we're going to be covering topics such as mindset, stoicism, health, esoteric health. And we like to say esoteric health because this is stuff that has been mainly suppressed by the mainstream. And we're also going to be sharing bits of our entrepreneurial journey in becoming rock solid and tons of other interviews with special guests and real life stories to share with you guys to help you, of course, become rock solid in body and mind. And on today's episode, we're going to be sharing with you a bit of our origin story. One of the most popular questions that Sean and I get asked is, how did you guys meet? How did Rock Solid get started?
How did you get into this business?
How did you get into this business? So we're going to be sharing that with you guys as part of the very first episode. So if you're getting introduced to us for the very first time, or maybe you've already known a little bit about our journey and a little bit about Sean and I, you're going to be learning a little bit more today. And that's going to help, I think, break the ice, get to help you guys understand our mission and a little bit of our journey and where we're going with rock solid nutrition as well.
All right, let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
I keep it rocking like promise. I'm way too turned up on a mission. Ain't no sitting in silence.
It's too electrifying to shop.
Find the muscle you're hiding hard at the pressure. I bring the pressure to the bench. I don't ride and see me live. Get it right. Free your mind. We got some living to do. We bring it big from a trauma, make them sick. You know he flexing when they ask you who you with. We gon' rep it for life.
Rock solid, rock solid, rock solid. We becoming rock solid.
So a little bit about ourselves. Myself personally, I've been in the fitness industry for over 20 years and in the digital marketing space now for just about as long. I'm also a published writer, a speaker, and a self-mastery coach.
And I've been working out for 35 years or more. And I've been working in the fitness industry for 23, 24 years. And in that time, I've been a personal trainer. I continue to be a coach and a trainer doing online training. And then I'm also the founder, CEO of Rock Solid Nutrition, published author, fitness model, cover model, professional bodybuilder, semi-retired, meditator, lover,
Philosopher.
explorer of consciousness. So, Mindy, what does rock solid mean to you?
Well, when I think of rock solid, I think of like the side of a cliff. And you've got the waves just beating up against the side of it. The storm is coming down and it's there. It's taking a beating against Mother Nature. And it's just, I'm here. I'm taking it. It's another day. And I also think too with the qualities of integrity and honesty and that resilience, that old school integrity, right? Like where you can rely on someone. When they said they were going to be there at 5, they're going to be there at 5. They're that type of person that you can just depend on.
Yeah, that reminds me of one of my favorite Marcus Aurelius quotes.
Oh, of course it does.
Yeah, how's it go? It goes, to be like the rock against which the sea keeps crashing against, to stand unmoved as the raging sea falls still around it.
Oh.
Yeah, really fits pretty good there.
Yeah, it does. Oh, shit. But yeah, that's what I think of when I think of rock solid.
Yeah, same with me. And we like to say rock solid in body and mind. And so for me, that means physically, being strong, working your muscle, but also being healthy on the inside. And then with mindset as well, being strong, being sturdy, being confident and powerful in your mindset at the same time.
Yeah. Really just becoming the leader of yourself,
Becoming your own king or queen.
or queen.
Yeah.
Yes. And especially going into the times that we're going into right now, I think it's very important that we take control of our bodies. We take control of our mindset, because it is a rock solid body and mind that you're going to need going into 2025, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30.
Because one thing we learned during this pandemic era is if you're not the leader of yourself, there's some other people out there that really want to lead you, and you're going to have to go where they want to lead you and not necessarily where you want to go.
Yeah. So I think it's time we take back our body and minds and become rock solid.
So a question I get asked a lot is, how did you get started in this business? So let's take it back to there. I started right after college. My first job out of college, I had an opportunity to go work for a GNC franchise out in San Diego. And so I went out there and I was just immediately hooked on supplements from day one. I found it super interesting. And so my time there is when I really just got into learning about all the supplements, studying vitamins and minerals and proteins and pre-workouts, and then also just learning how the industry worked, working with these other supplement companies that were making the products and kind of getting an idea of how that all worked. And eventually I was able to become a GNC franchise owner myself. And so that's when I really got heavy into this world and really just got a lot of experience. Now, at the same time is also when I started fitness modeling. And so this is, I had started fitness modeling not too long after I'd moved to San Diego there, so I'm about age 23 or so. And, one day I was just hanging out at the beach in San Diego by myself, just chilling. And a photographer came and tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, you got a great physique. You mind if I submit you to some fitness magazines?" And I'm like, "Okay, creepy gay guy. I don't know about you, but sound a little suspicious." But took the chance when I followed him to his car. He had some of the magazines that he had shot before.
You followed him to his car.
Followed him to his car. Well, I'm like, I can beat this guy up if I have to. I wasn't too worried about it. And but he had some of the magazines that he had shot in his car just so he could show me that he was like a legit photographer and he wasn't just a creep. And so I saw some of his published work, and I'm like, okay, well, let's do it. So we scheduled a shoot, and did a test shot with him. He sent those back to his publishing company in New York. They really liked what they saw, and so they had a few different magazines that they were working with, and so they started putting me in all these different fitness magazines, and that led me to go to Los Angeles to start working with some of their other photographers, and that led to an agent, and that's how I got into that world.
See, in the girl fitness modeling side of things, we call those guys like GWC, like guy with camera. It's like,
Well, they're definitely out there,
yeah. So thankfully, he wasn't one of those. Do you still keep in contact with him?
I haven't talked to him in quite a few years. Yeah, it's been a while, but we became pretty good friends. He was a good guy. We did a lot of different shoots together there in San Diego and turned me on to some good connections and, helped me out a little bit. So, yeah, I don't know how he's doing these days. I wish him the best. Old Victor. And, yeah, that just led me down the path, So then for a while, I started shooting with these LA photographers. And then they got me into, eventually I got into an agent in LA. They wanted me to start acting, so that's when I started taking acting class back then too. And so I would drive from San Diego to Los Angeles just to take an acting class. Sometimes I would make that drive just for an audition, just to stay in the game because I had an agent there. And so it was a lot of back and forth for me too. Eventually, I got kind of bored with the GNC, just not with the supplement aspect of it, but just like working retail. And with those stores, especially when you're the owner, somebody's got to be in that store during regular retail hours, 7 days a week, open to close. You got to have a body in there. And when you're working, your part-timers are just college kids, usually. They're not the most dependable. And so it was just long days working in that store. Just kind of got really boring for me. Because, sometimes you'd sit in that store for 13 hours and, 1 or 2 or 3 people would come in the door.
Yeah. Yeah. I worked retail. I know those days.
Yeah. So I read a lot of books during that time. That was before smartphones. And so, had to entertain yourself. And so did a lot of reading. So, but anyways, got kind of bored with that. The LA thing was kind of starting to take off. And so I actually moved to LA with another contact I'd met up there and was just staying at his place for a couple months. But yeah, at that time, I didn't really like living in Los Angeles. You know, I got really homesick. I was just a young 20-something country boy in the big city with, no real friends. I had a couple acquaintances.
Just
a
a Nebraska
mentor.
boy.
Yeah. But I wasn't really feeling it, so I had to make that move, had to make that choice, that fork in the road. Do I move back to Nebraska? Do I stay in LA and try to pursue this thing? At that time, I was just a little shy, a little green, a little homesick, and was ready to get back home. So after meeting with an astrologer, which I've never done before, I didn't really know anything about, and but I had a guy out there that was a bit of a spiritual mentor to me. He's a guy that kind of taught me about meditation and taught me about different things. He was another photographer out there, actually. He had connected me with this astrologer. He's like, well, if you got a big decision to make, go see this guy. He's amazing. And I was open to it. We didn't really know that much about it. Was a little skeptical. But tell you what, I met this guy, and it was like he knew me better than anybody I've ever met in my life. And he kind of helped me make that decision that the path was just leading me back to Nebraska at the time. And so, yeah, sold my shares in the GNC and then headed back to Nebraska. And that's when I became a personal trainer. And so I got connected with my old college football teammate, Heath Murray, there. And he got me a job personal training at the place he was training at, which is more of a athletic development facility. So I started working there, and then I started training in-home training, going to people's houses. And, I fell in with like one really good, well-to-do family that owned a bunch of car dealerships. And I was training, the mom and the dad and their adult son and the adult daughter and, one of their kids and stuff like that. And so, I had like 6 clients from this one family that was really, paying a lot of my bills. Plus, I was training at that athletic place. Eventually, I started making group workouts there. So all the people from this car dealership wanted to start working out.
Yeah.
And so I invented the Fit Camp for them and started like a group kind of training with them. And that was going pretty well. And so at that point, my friend Heath, saw it was doing pretty well and wanted to team up on it and said, if we really kind of teamed up on this, started advertising it, we could probably really turn this into something. So we joined forces on this group class, and we started putting out yard signs and started recruiting some more members, started getting a good following there. Then we started, thinking in kind of an entrepreneurial spirit, wanted to expand it. So we started online training as well. So things were going pretty good. We had a big following in the group workouts. That was growing. We started offering multiple class times for that. The online training started to grow. We started getting different clients from around the country. And so we were at the same time then selling these people supplements. And we were working with some local manufacturers and selling their products. And that's, me with my background in supplements, I could kind of see a good product when I saw one and understand, the ingredients and the doses and the formulas. And I just wasn't that excited about any of these products, for one. And for two, I didn't necessarily trust a lot of these other brands too, because I kind of saw behind the scenes of like what some of these supplement companies do. And like so many companies just put, what it says is on the label is not in the product. Yeah. And that can be protein, putting a ton of sugar in the protein instead of actual protein.
Amino spiking.
Yeah, the proprietary blends on the pre-workouts and the fat burners and stuff like that, where they just take a big blend of, 20 different ingredients, and then I'll put a bunch of the cheapest one in there, and then just put a little pinch of the effective ones in there because they cost more, and it keeps the formula, cost down.
Those margins.
So, yeah, get those margins. And I'm just like, how hard would it be to start a supplement company that just actually just focused on the proven ingredients and then just putting those in at like big doses so they're actually effective? And, if we did this ourselves, we could actually feel good about what we're giving these people. We could know that they're pure and that the supplement labels are accurate. And, I'm giving these to my friends, my family, people I know in real life, people that come to me as a professional because they trust my advice and opinion, and I want to make sure that I'm giving them something healthy, you know? And so with my experience from GNC, I kind of knew how we could, start a product and get something going there. So our first product was actually a fat burner, And we were under the name Sensei Nutrition.
I like that name.
It's not a bad name. It's not a bad name. And the fat burner was called Chi Kara, like chi energy. I was in my, meditative stage back then too. And so I was trying to bring a little of that spirituality to it at the time. And yeah, the Sensei Nutrition, the logo on the Chikara was like this Chinese mark that looked like a Chinese letter.
Hopefully it was what it said it was.
Yeah, hopefully it was what it said it was. But yeah, in hindsight, it just kind of makes it look like you're buying some cheap China product, And so we eventually changed that. But we had a really good formula, and we used some really cool ingredients. We put them in at good doses, and people really liked it. They really felt like it was working. And so we got some really good feedback on that, and a lot of people just became repeat customers on that.
Yeah.
And we're like, hey, I think we actually have something here. And so fast forward a little bit, then not too far, maybe a year later, him and I have an opportunity to lease a gym and to start our own gym. And so a big space became available in Omaha, which was like way bigger than we needed or could afford at the time. It was like 15,000 square foot. What's that?
That was like in the crash that time, 2008.
It was right around 2008.
Like
right when the
market crash.
Yeah, there was a big market crash going on at the same time, so everything was a little unsure. And we just signed a lease on this big space. It was a little over our head, and we didn't have any equipment. We had like one 30-pound medicine ball and like one kettlebell, like 25-pound kettlebell that we owned because we were using the equipment from the other gym that we were working at. Those were just two pieces that we had bought ourselves. But we bought it and just moved our class over there and started running them around with, doing more body weight workouts and stuff for a minute as we started to accumulate some equipment and eventually, started filling the place out a little bit. And this actually became the largest personal training facility in the Midwest. So we had a nice team of trainers working underneath us eventually and running group workouts. We started various different group workouts. Everybody was running one-on-one training as well. And we rebranded Rock Solid about this time too. And so we're like, that was early, right after the gym, kind of early we rebranded. And we went that's when we went from Sensei Nutrition to Rock Solid Nutrition. Now our first branding for Rock Solid was actually this old English font and this rock and roll wings. It had like these angel wings that looked very rock and roll coming out the back. Really cool logo. I really liked it. That was inspired from my, I think, San Diego kind of punk rocker kind of vibe to it. And so we ran that logo for about, probably about a year or so. And then as we started growing that audience in there, we're in, West Omaha, a lot of soccer moms and soccer dads and just, regular people trying to get fit. And they weren't necessarily into that hardcore
look,
grungy rock and roll kind of look. And so that's when we went and did our first rebrand of Rock Solid. I think that was about 2000, early 2010s here. Then we rebranded into the hexagon look, the 3 hexagons. And so it was a little more of a smarter look, a little more, had a good sciencey kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
And it just looked a little more mainstream, I guess you could say, a little less hardcore.
More science.
More sciencey.
Less Slayer.
Less layer, yeah. And during this time, too, is also when my physique started to really develop. I had already been modeling out in California, but when I was out there, I had to actually stop lifting for a while because they said I was getting too big. And, if you pick up a Target catalog or something, you don't see a big beefy bodybuilder on there, right? You've got to look like a normal person a little bit.
Yeah.
And so they had me, when I had my agent out there, they had me basically stop lifting, and I would just, go out and go surfing or go running and stuff for my exercise. And so I had to downsize just to have that athletic model kind of look. But now that I'm back in Nebraska and I'm, now I own a gym and a supplement company, and it's just time to go. I can just start lifting and start growing and start really building that physique. And so that's when I kind of transitioned from, more catalog modeling and commercial modeling into more just the fitness world there. And that really picked up for me in 2009 when bodybuilding.com held their body space contest. And so this was a spokesmodel contest. At that time, bodybuilding.com was the largest supplement retailer in the world, really,
Yep.
And they had their version of MySpace, which was Body Space, which was, their social media platform. And so the first year they did that, they were looking for a spokesmodel. And so they did this big nationwide search, which was like an online vote. And so I did that. I won the online vote, and I got shipped to Los Angeles to compete against the top 5 guys and the top 5 women that won the online vote. We all go to the Ironman in Los Angeles and compete in person for the grand prize, and I won that to my shock. And that led to a whole bunch of opportunities. Got the cover of Iron Man magazine from that. My first Iron Man magazine cover. There'd be a few more to come after that. We started touring around with them, working the Arnold, working the Iron Man, working the Olympia, working beside a lot of these fitness celebrities and big names in the industry, and just getting to meet a lot of people in the industry and have a lot of experience there with them. And then the next year,
so 2010 now, we're up in Canada. Your girl here, Mindy, has entered the bodybuilding.com spokesmodel search. I have entered in my video submission, my photos, shared my story. I was actually one of the top profiles at midnight or something or other when they first launched their Body Space program, which is why it was such a huge deal for me to even make it to the finals. So I get flown to LA, one of the top 5 female finalists from all over the world. And I'm walking coming from Canada. Well, Alison Etier won as the female your year, so they had another Canadian, which was nice.
That's right.
And I walk through, into the convention, going through all the tables and everything else, and I lock eyes with Sean, and I'm just it was the most intense eye zapping moment you could ever feel, and I could not hold that, I could not look into his eyes anymore. I just had to look away, and I was like, what the heck?
and the thing is that it was mutual, that I was feeling the same thing on my end too, and I remember it very vividly.
Yeah, it was so intense.
Yeah.
It was,
they say love at first sight.
Sight.
It's definitely a thing.
Definitely a thing. And I was so oblivious to the fact that, that you were the winner the year before. It was kind of okay, yeah, or, let's just keep going and try to win this thing and everything. So it wasn't even on my mind. All of a sudden, well, bam, you were just right in front of me. And it was just oh my gosh.
Make way for the champ.
Twitter-pated.
Twitter-pated?
Twitter-pated.
That's a new one.
It's a Bugs Bunny thing. Or I don't even know, Disney or Bambi. I'm not sure. I don't even know why I'm quoting.
I think it's a Mindy thing.
So later that afternoon, Sean would literally judge my ass on stage.
Oh, I judged it.
Oh, you judged it. And claims he gave me first, but I did not win. I got 5th, which is fine. I made it all the way there, and obviously connected with my future husband. Just didn't know it yet. Aggressive purr? Oh, yeah. Okay. So that was that. And we both had our separate lives. There was no hanky-panky or anything like that. I went back to Canada. Sean went back to Nebraska. And we still stayed in contact. We were Facebook friends. We both competed with the WBFF. So we're kind of, in the fitness industry, it's big, but it's small, right? So I remember finding catfish profiles of you and sending it to you and texting you and everything. And that was kind of the most of it, And we were both at the WBFF that one year for Worlds. And I think that was about as much contact as we had had. And so I was in Mexico at the time. I had gone on my healing journey. I'm not going to get into all of it right now because we'd be here for a long time. If you want to hear that, head over to the Becoming Unfuckwithable podcast and you can hear more about my healing journey. But my healing journey came and went. And after all that, one day I decided to put up a meme on Instagram. And it's a pizza meme.
That faithful pizza meme.
That faithful pizza meme, because, that first time having Papa John's in Florida back when I was competing.
Don't make it like that in Canada.
They don't make it like that in Canada. So I put this meme about pizza on my Instagram. And lo and behold, Sean comments and offers to get me a pizza delivered from Papa John's to Mexico because he has them on speed dial, apparently.
Tell them what the meme was, the joke.
I know. Well, it was just like a guy trying to order salad from Domino's before I think pizza places even offered salads. And he was like, "No, that's fine. Give me a large pepperoni instead or something." And so I put the caption like, "Good thing this isn't a Papa John's. Good thing there's no Papa John's in Mexico because I'd be in trouble," or something to that effect, right? So that's where Sean was like, I can get you one. And rather than commenting back to him, I slide in the DMs because I was like, I'm going into stealth mode right now.
Slip right into my DMs.
I'm going into stealth mode right now. I don't want anyone to see like this going on and like they're trying to be any sabotage or anything. So we're going stealth. I'm going right into the DMs.
She thought if another girl saw her talking to me, they'd want to move in on it.
Who knows? My goodness. All the women swarming around Sean Harley. Goodness gracious. So I slide into the DMs. And I said, sure. I said, I'll take a pepperoni and mushroom, please. And we kept texting back and forth. Sean was a complete gentleman. So sweet. And of course, he's in Nebraska. I'm in Mexico. 8th floor condo, beautiful beachfront views. And I'm sending it to him in, cold 40-degree weather in Nebraska. Mm-hmm. And you say one day, you're like, oh, sure wish I could get out of this or something or other. What did you say? And I said, well, put your money where your mouth is and buy a ticket. And he did.
Took the leap.
Didn't
know what I was getting myself into. She could have been a total crazy woman for all I knew at that point.
Could have been cray-cray. Could have went all cray-cray on your ass. No, you knew I wasn't crazy.
So, yeah, booked like a week trip down there to Mexico. Mm-hmm. Figured, well, if she's crazy, I'll just go get a hotel at a resort down there and have a little week vacation to myself.
Back at it be.
But flew down there, and from the moment you picked me up at the airport, it was just sparks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah. There wasn't a minute of awkwardness or anything. It was just great from the first second.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Like, how many past lives had we been together in? So it was an incredible connection. We didn't waste any time. You came out for that weekend. I had made a couple trips back to Nebraska before we knew it. That was March of 2015. By September 2015, we were married. We got married in Las Vegas. I'm in Nebraska now. Sean, of course, has a supplement company. I've been in, the supplement fitness industry for 20 years, working with brands as a sponsored athlete, behind the scenes as their digital marketer. I've gotten so many brands established on social media, the whole thing. So when Sean goes and gives me a shaker of his chocolate protein for the first time, I'm a little nervous because I'm like, okay, number one, chocolate is my favorite flavor for protein powders. Number two, I've tried so many protein powders in my time in the fitness industry that, I've tried them all. Like, this is going to be very hard for me to hide my face, because sometimes my face is like having like the closed captions on. You just know. You just know what's going on behind the scenes. And so I take a sip. It was so good. And I was like, thank goodness, because that would have been a real moment of truth, and that really could have fucked things up. And it was bad.
So glad you like the protein.
So glad I liked his protein. He's a keeper. So
the way to a woman's heart is through a good protein shake.
Mm-hmm. Good chocolate protein shake. So then I had left the company that I was working for. It was another supplement company, and decided, I want to go all in and help my husband grow his company as well. You know, I'd left them. I'd been in the industry for a long time. I'm like, I want to pour, you know, my efforts into this as well. And then you were still doing a lot of the PT and stuff on the floor.
Yeah, I was still personal training for, 8 to 12 hours a day, running group workouts, running one-on-one sessions. And so that was taking up most of my bandwidth.
Yeah.
That can be very exhausting, personal training, because you're having conversations with people all day, right? Taking
Yeah.
on their energy, giving away your energy.
Waking up at
And
4.
so, yeah, there wasn't a lot of bandwidth. So Rock Solid, up until that point, was largely for our internal audience. We did sell online, and we did, we'd go to the Arnold and run a booth and different stuff like that too, because I was in competing at the same time, which we didn't bring that into the story, but started
Yeah.
competing in like 2011 and became a pro right away in that, and became a pro in a couple different leagues. That led us to, Arnold's and these bigger shows too. So we started running booths there. But largely up until that point, Rock Solid was a bit of a side aspect of our business. And then it was, I think, 2016, my partner and I just kind of divided our businesses. I was kind of just over the on the floor personal training aspect of things, and he was still doing a lot of that. And so we just made the decision to separate. He's going to take the gym, I'm going to take Rock Solid. And we're still really good friends, and we still do business together. It just made more sense for us that way. And then at that point is when we could really start focusing on just growing Rock Solid as its own company. And so this is 2016, and that's also the year that I switched over to competing in classic physique. I had been a pro in men's physique for a few years already. I got my pro card in 2011, and so had competed at the Arnold and all these shows. Hadn't quite made it to the Olympia yet, and that was kind of my bucket list item. And then classic physique came out, and up until then I had to kind of be a little smaller to do well. And then a classic physique, it allowed me, I could really grow and become a little larger and put on a little more mass and size and really kind of flourish and blossom.
Yeah.
And so that 2016 was the year that I did classic physique, first year they had classic physique. And so I did 5 shows that year, and it concluded with me going to the Olympia, which is like the Super Bowl of bodybuilding, and kind of the biggest stage in the world that everybody aspires to compete on one day. And so I had the opportunity to do that, earn my way to there, and got to cross that off my bucket list, And so that was a big accomplishment for me at the time. But that whole year was very focused on competing too. Like, it's just very draining. You got to, to really compete at that level, you got to really have a bit of a one-track mind. It's a really 24/7 kind of mental sport too.
Yeah.
When you're dieting that hard and working out that hard. And so, hit the Olympia in 2016. Then I just did, about 1 show a year for the next couple of years as I started to focus more on business and Rock Solid and my relationship and my marriage and, other things than competing.
Yeah.
And so after those years, after I stopped doing 5 shows a year, that's when I could really focus on the business, and things started growing really well. Started getting into a whole retail stores, some grocery store chains, and started really growing the business there.
Yeah, no, things were going really well. We had a full list of ambassadors. 2018, and 2018 was the year that we got back into acting.
Yeah. When acting came back around in my life too, both of our lives.
Yeah.
Because you had some prior acting experience from your younger days as well.
Yeah, back in Canada, lots of acting experience too. So again, another
On the Superman show.
on the C-Dub, still get
CW.
screenshots. I just got a screenshot. Remember the girl in Mazatlan that we worked out with at the gym? We took that selfie with. I don't know if you remember Yvette. She sent me a photo she was watching the other day, and it came on there.
Oh,
So,
really?
Yeah.
It still plays, huh?
Yeah, it still plays.
Wow.
Still get the messages.
That's cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we go to South Africa. We're going out there to film. We're meeting out there with other people too, looking at expanding Rock Solid into South Africa. So, all these different opportunities are coming in and everything. And then at that point, we're in South Africa. And we made the decision that we were going to move to California. So we were like moving to LA. It was October 2019. Getting ready. We're going to go expand out there. We have some other things cooking on the other side for Rock Solid. So we're looking to expand. We're looking to keep the acting going because at the time, we had more films lined up. And then we get there, it's 4 months in or so, and pandemic.
And then the world gets flipped upside down.
And then the world gets flipped upside down and all hell breaks loose.
And everybody goes stupid.
And our company gets totally turned upside down.
Gyms get closed.
Gyms get closed.
People stop working.
Distribution gets screwed around.
Distribution gets screwed up.
Supply, cost of raw goods goes up.
Oh, geez, yeah. Like creatine went up like 5 times the cost it was pre-pandemic.
And as a small business owner, you know, it's like, what do you do? Well, what did we do? We sold everything we could, sold the house, sold vehicles, sold everything to keep the company going while we're in that mess in COVID. And of course, you're hopeful for when it's going to end, but you don't know when it's going to end. So what do you do? And
Got to have a little bit of faith, I guess.
Yeah, a little bit
and
of
just
faith.
Believe that it's going to work out.
yeah,
Keep
keep
moving,
pushing forward.
Keep pushing forward. Keep doing what you can do to survive at that time.
And that's what we did. We kept pushing forward. We maintained that faith. We maintained that vision. We maintained that work ethic throughout there, that it was, you know, this is what we're here for. This is what we're going to do. But then at the time, you know, we looked at everything and we made the decision to move back.
Yeah. Well, we were there partly for the acting too, and that whole industry just got stupid,
Yeah.
and it was just mask and testing and vaccine passports, you know, that it turned into.
So that got squashed.
So that got squashed,
And our eyes got opened up to the industry anyway.
and
So
we
it was
had,
kind of like,
went through a bit of an awakening.
we'll get more into that on another
A
episode.
future episode.
But yeah.
But yeah, it ran its course there, and it was time to make another move. And at that point, my parents were going through a move of their own. They had both retired, and they were getting off the old country place where they had lived for a long time and moving into a lake where they had a little lower maintenance and
Smaller home, smaller property.
Smaller home, smaller property. Father's health wasn't that good. And so he needed some relief and some assistance there, helping to clean this place up, because that was a big job.
It was a big job.
He's a bit of a auction guy and a collector, and so
Yeah.
he had just lots and
He had
lots
a
and lots of stuff. Lots of stuff,
That's what
big,
he had.
heavy things.
Yeah, lots of heavy
metal.
things.
Yeah,
We
so
lifted a lot of things up and we
they
put them
needed-
down.
They needed some muscle there for a little while.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I went back there for about 2 years, helped clean that up, get them all situated, gave us a little breath of fresh air, leaving the big city for a while and just getting back to the countryside. That was really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really nice. And so it's kind of funny because when we were getting ready to leave California, we were looking at Florida as an option, you know. And I know you were sitting at the desk and you were looking at places in Florida every day. I'd come
We were
in.
looking at the Tampa area.
And we were looking at the
which
Tampa
we
area.
had never really been.
No, and we were looking at that, and that got put on the shelf. And so when we were out in Nebraska, all this time had passed, you know, we were there for 2 years. And so I got reconnected with a girlfriend in Florida and met some new friends and people and started a couple new businesses with some business partners out here in Florida. And that kind of spawned into us becoming aligned with some really good people that also shared our vision for rock solid nutrition and also wanted to help people live their best lives. And it all really happened kind of serendipitous and very synchronistically. And before we knew it, we were coming out on multiple trips to Florida back and forth for business meetings, and we acquired ourselves some new business partners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that led us to make the move to Florida. So now we're headquartered outside of Tampa.
Yes. And so it's really funny because, again, there is that faith, there is that vision, there is that belief that even if something happens and you get side railed, if you keep working towards that and you hold that vision, you don't know when that opportunity is going to become aligned for you. And that's really what happened to us, because we held that vision. We kept working that 2 years while we were, working and helping your parents. We were working on the business. We were just grinding, like head down, blinders on, no distractions. And we just kept working. We just kept working.
Just kept moving forward.
Just kept moving forward. Yeah. And so here we are now in Florida.
Gone through another rebranding. And so we did our logo again. Got rid of the 3 hexagon logo and got a much more modern logo that I think really just...
It encompasses everything, I think, the direction that we're going in and what we stand for.
Yeah. Has a really good feel for it.
Moving forward, health, on the leading edge, the cohesiveness of everything coming together as one mind, body, and spirit.
Love it.
We did good, baby.
We did good.
We did good.
It's all going to work out.
It's all going to work out.
Stick with me, babe. We're going places.
Oh, man. So, yeah, that is our origin story in a nutshell. We hope you guys enjoyed it. We hope you guys got to see a little bit of the Harleys that you don't normally see on social media, unless maybe you're hanging out with us in person. But we want to thank you for joining in with us on our very first episode. Please stay tuned for more. And if you loved this episode, please share it, leave us a review, tell us what you want to hear more of. But we're here to help you become rock solid in body and mind. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.